Hello, guys, welcome. This is Philosophy of Mind Lesson 1. Let's get into it. First, a little disclaimer this is not a complete explanation of Descartes' position. If you want to know more, please do some research. Okay. Also, I am very sick right now. Sorry for my voice. Okay, let's cover some basics first. What is a substance? We don't have to intend a substance like, we intend it in society today, like as a drug. We have to use a philosophical sense for this word. A substance is anything that you can put a property on. For example, there's like the example on the bottom of the slide. For example, cars. A car is a substance that you can put a property on. Other examples might be, smartphone, a pen, the mind, the body, like anything that you can put a property on. What is a property? It's a characteristic, basically, that you can predicate to substances. For example, being fast, being tall, being yellow, being fast. No, I already said this. Okay. So, what is a substance? Anything that you can put a property on. What is a property? It's a characteristic that you can predicate to substances. We have to do a distinction between mental properties, for example, having a sensation, and other properties, for example, being light. Being light, it's something that you can predicate only to physical stuff. There is a metaphorical sense in which you can, imply light to mental stuff, but we don't care about that. Okay, so this is where philosophy of mind started. It's from our boy René Descartes. He lived around the 1600s, and we find his meditations on, the mind in his book Meditation on First Philosophy. Okay, this is where traditionally philosophy of mind starts, but actually there were already thoughts and theories about the mind before Descartes. For example, we can find philosophical works about mind in our boy Plato. And he lived, as I wrote on the right side, in the 400s, 300s before Christ is even born. So that's a long time ago. Okay, let's get into the philosophical stuff. For Descartes, there are two different substances, two different distinct and independent substances. The first one is the res cogitans, and the second one is res extensa. These are Latin expressions. Res cogitans literally means the thing that thinks. Res extensa literally means the thing that is extended, basically, spatially extended. Descartes' position is an ontological dualism. So ontology in philosophy, it has to do with being. Okay, let's say like this to keep it simple. It's the philosophical research on being. So there are two distinct substances, as I illustrated here. They also have distinct properties. Res cogitans can have properties like having a sensation X, feeling pain, being happy, being scared, while the res extensa has other distinct properties, such as being light, heavy, hard lid on top of something else, yellow. So Descartes is a dualist in a ontological way and in a property way. There is one essential property to each of the substances. The res cogitans, the main property of the res cogitans is that it's something that thinks. And the main property of the res extensa is that it is something that is spatially extended. But how did he come up with this? Like what? How? Okay, here's the argument of Descartes reconstructed. So, the premise one is I can conceive of my mind existing without my body. This is the assumption. And it's true. If I can conceive of my mind existing without my body, then it is possible for my mind to exist without my body. And the consequence of these two premises is that it is possible for my mind to exist without my body. We will see later on what's the problem with this. Premise number 3, it is possible for my mind to exist without my body, then it is not identical to my body. Also, this has some problems. Consequence, therefore, my mind is not identical to my body. And the conclusion that Descartes is doing is, therefore, my mind is an entity, a substance, distinct and separate from my body. Okay, as I said, there are some problems with this. Let's cover them. Okay, premise 2, if I can conceive of my body existing without my body, then it is possible for my mind to exist without my body. This is not always true. And here's the counterexample. We can conceive of time machines, but they are logically impossible. For example, what if I use a time machine to travel back in time and kill my father? That shouldn't be possible because I wouldn't be alive in the first place. Like, time machines produce a lot of logical contradictions. We can conclude, therefore, that not everything that is conceivable is also possible. Whoa. Okay, premise number 3. If it is possible for my mind to exist without my body, then it is not identical to my body. It's not always like this. This logical form that Descartes used is not always true. I will spare you the logical explanation for this because it will take me a long time to explain since I have to introduce logical notation. But there you go if you're interested. Okay, let's consider the epistemology part of the two substances. Epistemology, very briefly, it's the philosophical research about how can we know stuff and what can we know. It has to do with knowledge questions. So Descartes says we cannot trust our senses all the time, accessing res extensa, knowledge, might induce us in doing mistakes. It is fallible, since res extensa is about physical stuff. On the contrary, the mind is not like this. The mind is immediate, private, infallible, and transparent. We can know the mind and not do mistakes about this. And we will see that this is not really true later. So, the mind-body problem. What is the relation between the mind and the body? Oh my God, this is cool. Okay, so Descartes has to reply to this. How is something that thinks causing stuff to move in the physical world? Like, think about it. Here's a simple example. How do mental states such as will, to like desires, how do these mental states cause stuff to happen in the physical world? So if I say I will stand up and grab a beer, I want to get tabled, how does that thought make me actually stand up and grab a beer if it's, not physical? As I wrote in the... Okay, there you go. This violates the principle of causal closure of the physical world, which says if something physical happens, it must be caused by something else, which has to be physical. Like physical stuff is only caused by other physical stuff. But this seems like a counterexample of that, or there might be a mistake in like conceiving the mind like this. So this is a problem, So here's Descartes' take this is how he resolves the problem. He says, basically, we have this little thing in our brain which is called the pineal gland, and this is what ensures physical stuff to move from non-physical stuff, like our mental states. But this will be incorrect. Science says that the pineal gland thing is related to sleeping activity, but Descartes couldn't know. It does not resolve the mind-body problem. So our boy must conclude that, yeah, the physical principle thing is not always true. I don't want to change anything about my theory. There are indeed two different substances and they interact between each other. He just doesn't know how. I mean, he gave his, take, but it's wrong. So what's the problems and limits of Descartes' position? We already saw some. So first of all, the biggest one maybe is that he can't really explain mental causation. Like how do mental states cause physical stuff to happen? He also said in the epistemology part that minds are accessible only in first person, and they are infallible and they are transparent. Okay, not true. Our minds are not that transparent to us. And that's what Freud basically, that's the main contribution of Freud, maybe. The unconsciousness. Our minds are not transparent to us. There are a lot of activities that we do not know about in first person. Then, if minds are accessible only in first person, does that mean I cannot do scientific research on mind? And how do I know other people's mind? Also, nobody is really a dualist anymore, like an ontological dualist. Like most of the recent theories are ontologically monists. They think that there is only one substance. For example, behaviorism, functionalism. They think that basically the mind substance doesn't exist. Only the physical stuff exists. But there are positive sides. Descartes' position is coherent with our intuition. And he was super duper important. He initiated really important problems like the mind-body one and gave life to other fundamental theories. For example, behaviorism. Other than this, not much really. As I said, nobody is really a dualist anymore. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe. See you next time.